Well, good morning and welcome to Gail's Garden Herbs and More. Of course, you may be listening to this in the afternoon or evening, but good whatever time it is. Anyway, I this my left hand, I have been getting all these little slits all over it. I don't even know how I'm doing it. Maybe on my phone the glass broke on it, but I usually use my right hand, so I don't know. Today I know what happened. I was cutting my bread and it had been sitting a couple days, so the crust was really hard. It's homemade. And I had a serrated knife and it slipped and it cut into my finger, and I know it cut it pretty good. So the first thing I did, hardly without thinking, I stuck it in my mouth and kind of bit down on it to stop the blood flow to the tip of the finger. And I ran to my cabinet and grabbed a Band-Aid out, still holding on to my finger with my teeth. And then as I let go, to put the Band-Aid on, I seen the blood oozing out. Sorry. But I got the Band-Aid on nice and tight. And after I got the Band-Aid on, I thought, I should have ran out and grabbed a piece of yarrow and put on the tip of my finger, then put the Band-Aid on. Because yarrow will stop the bleeding, although I do like it to bleed just a tiny bit to bleed out any bacteria or grease or whatever is in there that was cooking. So, and if it bleeds out, it kind of cleans itself a little bit. Not bleed out, but bleed a little bit. It's a better word. And but I just wanted it to stop, and I ran and put the Band-Aid on, and I don't know. But the yarrow also is a disinfectant, or a antiseptic. Antiseptic is what I was thinking of. So that would have been good to have put on there. But nevertheless, these are just some things I want to share with you because, we can't always run to an emergency room. We need to get away from the system anyway. And I'm so far away from everything where I live, I have to be able to do it here. So I wanted to show you my yarrow for a minute. So let's go over there. Okay, I've been working in my yard yesterday quite a bit. It's just coming back good from the winter. Of course, it's not blooming yet. It has the little white flowers. But this is my yarrow, and I could have run out here and just pinched off a little bit and put it underneath my Band-Aid, but I didn't. But that's okay. I think it'll be all right. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about quick emergency medical stuff. Okay, so first of all, sometimes it's kind of hard to find all your medical stuff or whatever. So a while back, my daughter and I went on a search and a hunt. She got hers and I got mine, and we got a whole tote full. Eventually out. It took a couple weeks to collect it all. But we got all kinds of bandages and liquid stitches and Mercure comb and alcohol and peroxide and just Band-Aids and tape and, all of that stuff. Anything you can think of along those lines. And put it in a big tote so we'd be sure and have plenty. So I've got that in my shed. And then I have small stuff that I bring in from that and keep in the house. See, I didn't have to grab the keys and run out to the shed and unlock it and find where my tote's at and get into that, pull it all. I couldn't have done all that with, I needed something quick. So it's always good to have your main supplies stored away and then have some of it, small amounts of it, right in your living quarters where you can get to it right away. That's very important that you do that. So there was that part. Now what I want to talk about a little bit is like what's recently happened with one of my dogs. This time it wasn't my sickly one, my disabled one, but it was my healthy one. She's never been sick a day in her life, and I don't know what she got. She was so sick. I really didn't know if I felt her, and she just felt really hot. So I went and got my licorice root, my Chinese skullcap, I think is what I used those two the first time and gave her. And I don't know why, but it did help. She got within just a little bit, she was back down to feeling pretty normal as far as the fever goes, but she was still just very lethargic. She didn't eat for about 2 days. I went and got some Pedialyte, and I got the kind without flavorings and artificial colors and all of that. And I put some of that, and tried to give her some, but that wouldn't be enough with a syringe. She needed more water than that. So I gave her one little shot to get her going, and then later I did see her about the third day go over. I put some in the water, and then her water dish, she did drink some water finally. I was really worried about her. I don't know if that was the second or the third day, but anyway, she still just laid around. Like when I go somewhere and I come back, she always runs to the door and so happy to greet me, and jumping around at my feet, and she just laid there. She was not well. And then she started this horrible coughing, and I thought, and her nose was runny, and so I gave her, I continued about 3 times a day, a dropper full, not totally full, but I don't know, just some. They're little dogs, so you don't want to give them too much. And these were little droppers, but morning, usually about 3 times a day, I think is what I was giving her. And it took a few days, but I gradually, once I started giving her the tinctures, the same stuff that I take for viruses and bacterial infections and all of that stuff, and I used the Hutinia cordata with the licorice root, and I was real careful with the licorice root. Didn't want to give her too much, but it's actually very calming on the intestines and stuff, and it helps synergistically, plus it's a virus fighter on its own. So once in a while I would just skip the licorice root and put the other 2, but I only did that once or twice, and I thought, no, because it really coats the stomach so the others don't burn your stomach, and I didn't want her stomach burning or anything. So from then on I just continued, because I'm not giving her that much. But she came out of it. It took about 5 or 6, maybe 5 days for gradually she came out of it. I seen it. Pretty soon she was up and around. Also, what I did after she did, probably about the 3rd or 4th day, she needed to move a little bit. So I would take her outside, and she would just kind of stand there and maybe slowly walked in a little circle and just walked back up to me like, Mama, please take me and let me lay down. So I did. But you got to have them move a little bit. Otherwise, it can develop into pneumonia, especially with a cough like that, which I was afraid of anyway. Because I know there's a bad dog virus going around. A lot of the dogs don't survive. It turns into pneumonia. And it was hard to find a warm part of day that I could take her out. So finally, when she got where she was, after about a week after she was pretty good, then I just took her on a little walk, and I put a sweater on her, even though she's got a ton of fur on her. Now, my little disabled one, he's been so ill and getting worse each winter. He doesn't handle the cold well, and he actually loses his fur except around his neck. And so I'm always put a sweater on him. But then, being a male, he pees on it, and it's wet, and he gets cold. So it's not one thing, it's another. But anyway, back to Tinker, my healthy one, or usually healthy. She's never been sick a day in her life, and she's 9 years old. This is the first time. And she came out of it. But just a little walk that day, and I took Chai too and let him walk a little bit, but that wasn't a real good day for him, so he didn't walk very far, so I just carried him the rest of the way, but at least he got some fresh air, because it was a couple hours in the middle of the day. It warms up a little bit up here. I'm cold right now, though, even though the sun's out. I think it's about 10:30 in the morning. I haven't even looked for a while. Yeah, so there's things like this that you can do. You don't always have to run to the vets, and you don't always have to go to the doctors. You can take care of yourself. It's probably a lot healthier than getting involved and going where there's a lot of sick people, or taking your dog or cat or whatever where there's a lot of sick animals. So whatever you can do yourself is always the best way to go. So that's a couple things that I just thought I would share with you. That's what I do day to day, and I thought, well, it might be something you all could give you some ideas and help you think about. Now for overall health, also, occasionally I am putting herbs in my dog's water, or I pour a little of my tea, a healthy tea, into their water. But especially for congestion, to help a little bit. Like, I have some anise hyssop. I use that sometimes. I found some of my hyssop that I had dried, just plain hyssop, not anise hyssop. They're two different plants. And there's also a plant called anise. I don't think, I might have a little bit of that left. I don't have that plant anymore though. But anyway, I took some hyssop and I made a tea. I drank some of it myself, and then I poured some into their water because it's good for them and to help the congestion a little bit. That's some things that you can do too. Although they're not real strong decongestants, I don't have any mullein for the lungs. And I'm just trying to build up my plant supply and stuff again here since the move, because I lost a lot of things, and I had just moved previously the year before, and so I lost a lot then too. So I'm really down to a bare minimum on things of what I really want to have available and handy. But one thing that's easy to grow, it doesn't take real long, and I'm starting over with, is like my oregano and stuff, and I have some of that growing. I'm not sure where that pot is. I hope it's still growing. Hope it made it through all this cold. My rosemary did. I kept it under plastic. But you can take, oregano is great. It's a great, well, it's almost like an antibiotic. It's really good. So I also like to mix some of that into my chicken feed. And something else I do is I sliced up some garlic and put in my chicken water, and they didn't seem to mind the flavor, and it's really good for them. So any herbs you can get into your animals like that they can have. Now you have to be careful with cats, because cats do your own research on your cats. I don't even have a cat anymore. She disappeared not long after the mountain lion ate my goat, and I don't have goats or anything anymore. I moved from there. But I have an idea. It must have got her too. I don't know. I don't even want to think about that. But anyway, so I don't have cats anymore. I'm going to leave that up to you. I just warn you that cats are a different creature all the way around. Dogs can take a lot of what we take, not everything, but you have to be careful. But with a cat, they're a whole different animal. I mean, a lot of things bother them. So really, really check on that. There's a vet. He's also a herbalist up in Idaho. Boy, why my mind just went blank. I know his name. I've talked about him before. I follow him, and he uses all kinds of herbs on his animals and stuff, and he did a class on it one time, and our online video thing on it. Was really, really good. I learned a lot from him. I really like him. He's fun, he's funny, and you learn a lot from him. When I go back through the video, I'll put it up. I'll put the words, his name, Doc, almost had it there. Oh gosh, I know his name really well. I don't know why it's evading me this morning. Need some more lion's mane for my brain. Lion's mane is a type of a mushroom. Most of you probably know that, but there might be a few that don't. I'm just starting to get into mushrooms a little bit, starting to learn just a little bit. I wished I had started everything when I was a girl and not so late in life, because there's so much to learn. And there's so much disinformation out there on channels, and some of the channels I still watch, a few, but sometimes they're totally wrong on their herbs. But the only reason I know that is because I've taken classes, I've done herb walks, I've read and studied and all of that, and I know the difference, and I know and I've even been hornswoggled, so to speak. Everybody, just for instance, and I mentioned this on some other videos, everybody says that your elderberry leaf is poisonous. It's poison. That's the best medicine on the plant. But I thought it was poisonous for a long time. And then I found out, yes, if you take too much of it, it can make you throw up. But it is the most antiviral of the whole plant. Now, I would not give the leaf to kids just because I'm very careful when it comes to kids. Elderberry blossoms are good. overall, that's an okay plant for the common virus, maybe. But it doesn't, elderberry doesn't, at least it didn't help me when I had the big one of 2020. And I didn't know about my other herbs yet. I learned the tinctures I'm recently been talking so much about. So, yeah, there's just a lot of things out there. A lot of your common herbs, like your oregano and sage and stuff like that, are awesome if you can grow those yourself. Dry them and put them in your. Don't put them fresh in the chicken feed because they might mold and then cause your chicken feed, especially if it's pellets, to mold. You want to dry them first, or just lay some of that in their egg boxes. I do that occasionally too when I have enough. I'm trying to get my supplies built up for myself too, but I still get a little bit in there in my chickens every now and then. And just a few things I wanted to share with you, some ideas of what I was doing. It would be really good to take a first aid class. Many years ago I did, but it's been too many years. But again, I've done some online to brush up on, especially with herbs. And that is really important if you can do that. Of course, even without a first aid class, most people know if you get a cut or something and bleeding, you need to put pressure on it to get it to stop. And I just kind of bit right down on the end of my finger, right below where I cut it. I just kind of gently bit and put pressure with my teeth and held it until thankfully it's on my left hand, but with my right hand I could get my Band-Aid down and put it on. I was telling my daughter, and we were texting back and forth, and she goes, "Oh, Mom, you've got to be careful." I was. The knife slipped. Sometimes things just happen, and you need to be prepared. And I was thankful I had my Band-Aids handy. So almost sounded like I was going to say bananas. Anyway, yeah, just a few things I thought I would share with you this morning. I hope that you enjoy this. And we will catch you next time.